We now want to move on to introduce you to our top story panel that's going to be with us throughout the hour tonight. Welcoming back two of our teammates here. Joining us once again, the Reverend Joe Watkins, a Republican strategist, liberal radio host Rachel Maddow from Air America, and former GOP committee chairwoman Georgette Mosbacher. You are outnumbered tonight, Rachel. So I'm going to start with the Reverend, only because he's standing closest to me. Has Iraq lost control of its country?
No, these things take, it takes time to build a country. Consider the fact that in record time they've ratified a constitution. That's pretty incredible, given the short period of time that they got that done.
But hang on,
it's expected that there's going to be turmoil there, and this is not unexpected.
But we have said that we can only start withdrawing our troops, drawing them down until the Iraqi security forces and Iraqi forces, the soldiers on the ground, prove that they have control of this country.
Well, that's right.
This is not an encouraging sign.
Well, it's going to take time. Things do take time. It's not surprising that there are these incidents that are taking place, and that the people are losing their lives, and that people are being kidnapped. These things happen, and it's so unfortunate when they do. But consider the fact that this is a country that at breakneck speed has elected officials, has ratified a constitution, and is, despite some of the sectarian violence, is really on its way to becoming a country.
Joe,
you don't see a unified country in its future.
No. I mean, the goalposts keep changing as to when we can leave. It was that we were going to topple Saddam, right? And then we were going to set up a constitution. There's going to be a new government. There's going to be an Iraqi army. All of those things have happened. Saddam has been toppled. There's a new government. There's a constitution. There's an army. What needs to happen next for us to go? Does it need to look like Wisconsin? Does it need to be a Jeffersonian beacon of democracy? Yeah, but those things will never happen.
I think the problem is the goalposts.
Moving.
Do you have a problem with the changing goalposts?
Yeah. War is not something that you can just map out like a business plan and say, when I reach this point, I'm going to do this.
What's the mission,
This is a democracy that is a new democracy. If you look at history, if you study history, there are no democracies, including our own, that was born without bloodshed. Without being ugly, without taking a long time. And if democracy and freedom isn't worth the time and the effort, then you need to tell me what is.
But George, let me ask you this. Isn't it a troubling setback, though, if it is true that these militia forces have infiltrated the Iraqi security forces?
Well, think about this.
Absolutely it is. But that is war. It isn't pretty. It isn't going to be very orderly.
So what's
it's going to be ugly.
This?
Look, we've got...
Will 20,000 extra troops change anything, as John McCain is suggesting?
20 more years? 40 more years? How long should we stay?
As long as it takes.
Should we stay forever?
Until the mission is done. Until the mission is completed.
As long as it takes. After all, we still have troops on the border between North and South Korea. How many years has that been? We still have troops in Germany. We still have troops in Germany.
If the American people had been sold the idea that we will go to Iraq because of weapons of mass destruction, if we don't find weapons of mass destruction, you can still sign up your grandchildren for the draft now because we're going to be there for 50 years. We would not have said yes to this.
There is no draft.
Well, okay. Your grandkids will volunteer then, but my grandkids will probably be drafted. If we're going to be there for another 50 years, we can't do it with a volunteer force, Georgette.
Are you suggesting we're going to be there another 50 years?
I'm not suggesting. She's suggesting that we're going to be there. I doubt we're going to be there another 50 years. I hope we won't be there another 50 years. But we do have an all-volunteer army. And that is very different than during the Vietnam period. And I don't see that changing in the near future. I think that that's just a lot of liberal...
It takes time, Paul. It takes time.
You'll be able to defend yourself in the next segment. Tria, we got to leave it there. Joe Watkins, Rachel Maddow, Georgette Mosbacher, please hang